Star Wars Hunters should still be releasing later this year, and whilst I am very pleased with how the game is coming along, I still feel as though it's missing some pretty big things, so today I'm going to be discussing my 3 biggest wishes for the game. Now before I do get into that though, do make sure you are subscribed to the channel for all things Star Wars Hunters. So the first thing that I really want to see is PvE content. Now I spoke about this in a video last week, so I'd recommend checking that out if you haven't already. But to make a long story short, in the Star Wars Hunters book at the very end, it does tease a little bit of a mode that could be seen as PvE, where 4 hunters take on a Rancor on the Tatooine map. So something like that is something that I would love to see. Now PvE worked an absolute treat in Star Wars Battlefront 2 with the co-op mode, and ever since it launched it became very popular very quickly, which led to DICE making it not only from the Clone Wars, but also adding in the sequel trilogy maps and the original trilogy maps. The market for PvE content is absolutely there in my opinion, and I think there is actually a lot of scope for it. You could have 4 hunters versus 1 big beast, be it a Rancor or a Wampa or a Gorax for example, but you could potentially have some sort of wave-based mode, or literally anything else. I know a lot of people do enjoy playing online games, but they hate playing against other players, so I think this is something that would work really well for hunters. On a similar line to that then, the next thing I really want to see is a ranked mode. Now I think a ranked mode would be very likely, given that the game is 4 versus 4, it definitely seems to have that competitive edge to it. There are also things in the actual game files that suggest that we could be seeing a ranked system at some point in the future as well, but that likely won't come until the game actually launches. And on top of that, the current playlists you'll see are actually titled as casual. Now I don't know why you would refer to something as casual if you didn't have a ranked mode as well, so I genuinely have very high hopes for a ranked mode to appear at launch, or at least very soon after. I think the potential for competitive space in Star Wars Hunters is absolutely there, be it in a ranked mode or whether they add private matches as well. That is something I'd also actually really like to see as well, because then you could have organised tournaments and leagues or whatever else, and I just think the potential there is massive. Finally, I just want to see consistent and relevant content for years to come. Star Wars Battlefront 2 for example was absolutely perfect in that we had about 2.5 years, or after the launch fiasco it was probably about 2 really, years of consistent monthly updates where every now and then we'd have a pretty small update, but most updates were medium to big size, and then we got new game modes or new heroes, a ton of new cosmetics, and towards the late stages of the game even new weapons as well. So monthly content updates like that is something I really want to see. During the soft launch of Star Wars Hunters, it's been about an update every 3 months or so, and sometimes they're not even that huge anyway, but sometimes they can also be quite big as well, which is always nice to have. The kind of content I really want to be seeing in terms of consistency are obviously new hunters, new maps, new game modes, and obviously a ton of new cosmetics as we go along, and obviously a lot of that stuff could go into battle passes as well, so that's always something that will keep players on the game. But I really do hope it's not a case of we've got battle passes and then every 3 months is when we get big content drops, as I think adding a new map or a new hunter, or sometimes both every month or 2 would actually be huge, and would keep people playing for a very long time. Now I also mentioned the fact of relevant content as well, and by that I mean I want to be seeing content that's sort of in line with the current TV shows. In the game right now we've only got Hoth, Endor and Tatooine in terms of the maps, so I also really want to be seeing maps inspired by the sequel trilogy places and the prequel trilogy. But let's take the Ahsoka show for example. With that show releasing in August then, I'd love to see an update late August or even in mid-September where we get an Ahsoka inspired skin for J3DI, an Inquisitor or Balon or Shin skin inspired for Reeve, and then a map or 2 in the game that's inspired by 1 or 2 of the planets in the show. Stuff like that would absolutely be amazing, and there's so much stuff that the team at Zynga have to choose from with Star Wars, so in all fairness I really would be happy with anything, but it would still be cool to get content inspired by The Mandalorian when The Mandalorian is airing for example. Anyway guys, those are my 3, or technically 4 with the private matches, biggest hopes for Star Wars Hunters. Ideally at launch, but obviously in terms of consistent and relevant content that's something that will just be happening hopefully over time. So let me know in the comments what your biggest hopes are for the game, and do make sure you are subscribed to the channel. That is it from me today though, thank you all very much for watching, and may the force be with you always.